He thought he was the smartest person in the room, and honestly, he usually was. Then one afternoon, in less than 30 seconds, he destroyed everything he'd spent years building. Not panic, not greed, just his brain doing exactly what it was built to do. The most dangerous force in your financial life isn't a market crash. It isn't inflation. It's the 17 seconds between seeing something you want and deciding to have it. Being smart doesn't make you immune. It just gives your brain better material for the story it already wants to believe. Financial psychology, where money, power, and human nature collide. Let's get into it. Meet Marcus. He represents a composite of several real portfolio managers from the late 90s, 14 years managing other people's money. He could recite Kahneman from memory and still walk straight into the trap Kahneman spent his entire career describing. In 1999, Marcus inherited a substantial sum, 34 years old, sharp, absolutely certain he understood the markets better than most. That certainty became the first crack. He looked at the dot-com surge and didn't see a bubble. He saw a window that was closing. What Marcus was experiencing has a name: hyperbolic discounting. Your brain doesn't evaluate future rewards on a straight, rational line. It bends the curve hard toward right now. A guaranteed return 10 years from now feels almost imaginary. But a speculative gain available this afternoon? That feels urgent, real, deserved. Marcus wasn't broken. He was just human. He moved his inheritance into a technology fund. 6 months later, it was up 80%. And here's where the story turns. He withdrew some of the gains and bought something tangible, something he could touch, drive, show off. He still remembers that first drive home, the smell of the leather, that quiet moment where it finally felt like he'd made it. Then he put the rest back into the same fund. I'll rebalance later, he told himself. Most expensive decisions in finance don't begin with buy. They begin with later. When the bubble collapsed in 2001, his fund lost 90%. Marcus was left with a depreciating car and a gutted portfolio. He wasn't reckless. He was present biased. And those two things are not the same. But the crash wasn't the real wound. What he did in the 3 years after, the quiet, invisible decisions he made while telling himself he was being cautious, that's what turned a setback into something permanent. You've made these same decisions too. Not in a tech fund maybe, but in the gap between what you planned to save last January and what's actually sitting in your account today. Why does the future version of you always seem more disciplined than you are today? Now meet Aslan, built from the exact same era, same profession, same inherited sum. He felt the exact same urgency, the same fear of missing out. But Aslan had made a mechanical agreement with himself years earlier. He told his bank, "If I ever issue a sell order on my index fund, wait 48 hours and call me first." In 2001, he reached for the phone to cancel that rule. He genuinely hated it. Everyone around him was selling. Every instinct screamed he was falling behind. But the rule existed before the panic hit. And panic is the worst time to change your rules. He kept it anyway. Not because he was smarter, because the system didn't let him be impulsive. Consider a seasoned analyst in 2017. He did what Marcus did, just in slow motion. He held a position in a volatile sector. 2 years passed every signal telling him to get out. He convinced himself he was being patient. By the time he finally sold, he'd lost 61% of that position. That's when the reality of present bias hits. It doesn't always feel like impatience. Sometimes it disguises itself as patience. You feel like the one person willing to wait while you're actually refusing to accept a loss that has already happened. In 2008, this same gap between the planning you and the deciding you hit an entire civilization. Millions accepted adjustable rate mortgages, low payments now, crushing rates later, because today's relief felt so much more real. Bankers took short-term commissions. Rating agencies took immediate fees. Everyone was making the same trade. Now is certain, later is abstract. When later arrived, 3.8 million foreclosure proceedings began in the U.S. alone. The bill for collective present bias came due all at once, paid in human lives, not just dollars. Aslan simply closed his screen in October 2008 and did nothing. Marcus, on the other hand, had spent 7 hard years rebuilding and sold at the exact bottom, locking in losses the recovery would have erased. By 2013, Aslan's inheritance had grown to roughly 4.5 times its original value. He wasn't comfortable during those years. He was disciplined. There's a real difference between those two things, and that difference is everything. Here's the thing. This isn't a character flaw. Your brain was never designed for compound interest, retirement accounts, or 30-year mortgages. It was designed to solve the immediate problem right in front of you, and that kept your ancestors alive. But it's terrible for building wealth over decades. The good news? You can build systems smarter than your own instincts. 3 strategies, easiest to hardest. You only need one. Strategy 1. The cooling off window. When the urge for an unplanned purchase hits, force a delay. 24 hours for small things, 1 week for anything big. Research on impulsive buying shows that even a short pause substantially weakens the drive, because it was never really about the object, it was about the dopamine. With a 48-hour delay, most of those decisions disappear. Do this today. Set a phone reminder for 48 hours from now on the last item sitting in any open cart. Strategy 2. Meet your future self. Before any significant financial decision, spend 2 minutes writing a paragraph, not a list, describing your life 5 years from now if you make the disciplined choice today. Make it specific, sensory, real. UCLA neuroimaging research found that vividly imagining your future self activates the same brain areas as thinking about someone you love. One participant called it finally meeting someone I'd been ignoring for years. Do this today. Open your Notes app and write 3 sentences about what your financial life looks and feels like 5 years from now if you protect your resources. Strategy 3. The most powerful, the commitment contract. Bind your future self before temptation arrives, exactly like Aslan did. Automate the savings transfer the moment your income hits the account, before your present self can negotiate, and name the account after the actual future it represents. Not savings. Call it 2029 house down payment, the year off, or freedom fund. Named accounts get rated far less because you're not stealing from money. You're stealing from a dream. Do this tonight. Log into your bank and rename one savings account after the future you're building. Every financial decision is really a conversation between 2 people, the person you are today and the person you're becoming. The question is, which one gets to make the final call? Because one of them is already spending your money. The only question is, which one do you want in control? Escaping this trap isn't about willpower. It's about designing a life where your future self wins before the battle even starts. What's one impulse purchase you made recently that your future self would have vetoed? Drop it honestly in the comments. Let's talk about it. If this resonated, like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into the psychology of money. See you in the next one.